And then I'm like, this baby motherfucker better not blow up by nuclear shit, or I'm gonna go loco on this bitch. And then he blows up all my nuclear shit, and I'm like, call my generals. And they tell me, they're all dead, sir. And I'm like, assemble the army. And they're like, they're dead too, sir. So then I'm like, launch the friggin' missiles. And they're like, sir, they're gone, sir. So I'm like, what the fuck?
Hey, you know what it is? It's MAGA Hat Monday. It's MAGA Hat Monday. Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and slave us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce, and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule because you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to, because I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feasts and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring. And George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil. Chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk a doubter, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
All right, welcome to the MC Tutorial Show. I, of course, am your hardcore, fierce, and sexy host, MC Tutorial. On this hot summer day in late June. And what do we got going on right here this past weekend? Everything I voted for, that's what's going on. The threat of Iran looming over our heads that they might have a nuclear weapon is over. 6 bunker bombs hit their main uranium enrichment plant, and 2 other plants where they were enriching uranium in an attempt to build an atomic bomb were also hit by some hardcore tomahawks. And here we are, folks, here we are. A much safer world because of Donald Trump. And I don't care what people say. Donald Trump is not Vladimir Putin's puppet. Donald Trump is not Benjamin Netanyahu's puppet. And the taking out of these nuclear facilities, these bomb factories, essentially, was not a Bibi Netanyahu puppet move. It was a move to protect the United States of America. It was a move to protect John Krantz, that's me talking about myself in third person, and people like John Krantz. Donald Trump is doing everything I would do if I was president. Donald Trump is not acting like a puppet of
Benjamin Netanyahu. He's acting more like a clone of John Krantz. Doing everything John Krantz would do if John Krantz were president of the United States. Just so you understand that. Just in case I run for a public office and whoever my Democratic opponent is, because I will run as a Republican if I decide to run for any public office, and if my Democratic opponent decides to hold against me that I would do everything Donald Trump is doing now if I was in Donald Trump's shoes, I would turn around and say, you say this as if it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Look, nobody likes war. No normal person likes war. Maybe if you're in Iran and you hate America, you like war. If you're one of the top brass in Russia, including Putin himself, and you just want to take over countries, maybe you like war, even at the expense of so many millions of your soldiers. Maybe you like war. But any normal American does not like war. Hell, George S. Patton didn't even like war. Even people fighting on the wrong side of history in the Civil War, like Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, they didn't like war. But here we are. A much safer place because of Donald Trump. A much safer place because of Donald Trump. What can I tell you, folks? What can I tell you? Mete tremendous. And I was a little standoffish about this subject. If you notice, I didn't talk too much about it. When there were Israeli airstrikes against Iran, I scaved over it a little bit. I showed a little clip of it with Benjamin Netanyahu's speech a little bit at the beginning of the video. And I went on to talk about that maniac running around killing members of his own party. But stood back, saw what happened. And what happened was Donald Trump made America and the whole world a safer place. And he definitely made the Middle East a safer place. What I like to know is, what business does a Central Asian country have meddling in the Middle East? I don't know what to tell you, folks. I don't know what to tell you. These people say, don't meddle in Iranian affairs. Don't meddle in Iranian affairs. They took hostages for 444 days because Jimmy Carter invited the Shah of Iran over for tea and crumpets. And the Iranians went apeshit and took hostages and held them for 444 days. They have right and reason to fear Donald Trump. And it's okay to have other countries fear your president. I'd rather have a president that the rest of the world fears than a president that the rest of the world thinks is a nice guy that everybody's going to walk all over. I'd rather have a president, if he's going to be a nice guy, let it be to the American people. Save political opponents, of course, that are trying to take this president down so they could keep their money laundering agendas going. So, they should fear Donald Trump. But people like us who supported him, we have no reason to fear Donald Trump, I tell you. Everything that gets destroyed because of Donald Trump deserves what it gets. Each and every person that dies because of Donald Trump deserves what he or she gets. That means, yes, 4 years ago, Qasem Soleimani died because of Donald Trump. That means Qasem Soleimani got what he deserved. If there were evil scientists in Iran building a nuke that died because of Donald Trump, hey, they deserved what they got. Who told them to be evil? My late great uncle Carmine? Who told them to be evil? It can't be God. Can't be the God I know. I mean, people love blaming God for their evils, don't they? All the way down to the local level. Look at Andrew Cuomo blaming God for his evils of cramming COVID patients into nursing homes. Let's not forget that when the mayoral election comes down to him in Sliwa, if it should, come November. But anyway, back to this world stage event. It was quite explosive now, wasn't it? Hey! And so these facilities have been rocked. Now, I don't know, since they were dealing with some nuclear shit over there, I don't know how safe it is over there in those cities or neighboring towns. There's probably going to be some radiation going on for decades, generations to come. But who supported this Ayatollah guy staying in power for so long? Why didn't they overthrow the regime when Khomeini was still running it? Khomeini, who was supported by Sadat Gopspadeh, and then later his beheading was ordered by Khomeini. Then there's Khamenei, if that's how you pronounce this Ayatollah's name. He takes over, and he's even more bitter, and he's even more hateful than his predecessor. Funding terror group after terror group after terror group. He sends terrorists into Iraq, recruits terrorists in Iraq, partners with Al-Qaeda to form ISIS. Funds ISIS, funds Hezbollah, funds the Houthis, funds Hamas. These are all terrorist organizations. And it's not laying your life down solely for Israel or risking your life solely for Israel to take out these terrorist groups. There truly is American interest in this. This neighborhood in Brooklyn, with terror groups, with Islamic terror groups around, this simple, quiet neighborhood in Brooklyn is at stake. This simple, quiet neighborhood in Brooklyn is in jeopardy. Let's say you don't give two flying shits about Israel for whatever reason. And let's say you only give a shit about your own neighborhood. You don't even give a shit about other parts of the United States. You don't give a shit about Texas, Utah, Delaware, Massachusetts, or even other parts of New York City. Let's say you don't give a shit about the Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, whatever. You only give a shit about your little neighborhood in Brooklyn. Your little neighborhood in Brooklyn is in danger if Iran has nukes. But they don't anymore. You ought to be thanking Donald Trump for that. You ought to be thanking Donald Trump for that. But the Democrats in the Senate, they're not thanking Donald Trump for that. They're already whispering about impeachment. Would you believe that? Donald Trump made their lives safer, and they're whispering impeachment. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a little story, a little something, 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 okay? I worked for New York City Transit, MTA New York City Transit, and there was another station agent that told me this story. He was just getting back from doing this guy's lunch relief, or just getting ready to leave the guy's booth after giving him lunch relief. The main clerk takes over. The cleaner shows up to sign out for another station. Superintendent shows up, starts yelling at the cleaner. Now the superintendent and the cleaner are outside the booth. The station agent that's telling me the story, and the station agent whose booth it is are inside the booth.
Thank you.
Okay? And the superintendent is yelling at the cleaner, nagging and nagging and nagging, threatening to give him days in the street. That's suspension in transit talk. And this cleaner can't take it. He can't take it. He picks the superintendent up by her neck and starts shaking her. Now the clerk couldn't see that happening. So he runs out of the booth. He splits them apart. He saves that superintendent's life. Train pulls up. The clerk that's telling me the story catches his train, comes back the next day to try to ask the guy what happened. He's not there. He was suspended for leaving the booth unauthorized. And who wrote him up and suspended him? The superintendent whose life he saved. And her life would not have been saved had he not left the booth unauthorized. That guy ended up keeping his job, having his suspension shortened, and he was retroactively paid for the days in the street that he did serve. The cleaner, he got about 30 days in the street and kept his job. Superintendent got assigned some area that she didn't really like being at, where she had to mind her P's and Q's with the staff over there because they were a little bit rougher. But the point I'm making is this. That station agent saved that woman's life. That woman writes him up and gets him suspended. Donald Trump saved America and saved the world from the evils of Iran. But since the evil left is the evil left, they don't care that America includes saving their dumbasses. And so they're whispering about impeachment. Let's impeach him. Let's impeach him. Let's impeach him. But he saved your life. Shut the fuck up. Let's impeach him. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You can't make this stuff up. And on to the I say. Thank God for Donald Trump. Respect God, watch out for the Illuminati. Follow and share this wonderful content. Stay strong, keep kicking that slang. It's your boy in the building, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero, MC Too Tall. Be good.